Is loud.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with Martin for our match preview of Aston Villa against Fulham on Sunday afternoon. Obviously, now we are in the Europa Conference League. We just constantly seem to be playing on Sunday, even when we're not in the Conference League. So, yeah, Sunday, 2 p.m. kickoff at Villa Park. And talking all things Villa, hoping that we can make it 13 Premier League wins in a row. I think it'd be 16 out of 17 in the Premier League. Get our Premier League back on track, so to speak, after a disappointing performance last Sunday. But Martin, first of all, before we get into all the talk of the match, how are you doing this fine Friday evening?
Thank God it's the weekend, and thank God it's Friday. Really looking forward to the game Sunday. Bit of a scrappy one last night, but you take them, so I'm feeling nice and highly confident for Sunday.
Great stuff. I want to get your thoughts on last night as well, just quickly. But before we get into that, I'll get to a couple of comments as well. But do please, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're marching on to 2,700 subscribers. We are, I want to say, about 35 away at the moment, so not too bad at all. So get yourself liking, get yourself subscribing, help spread the word of the channel, and yeah, help us on the road to 3K. Adamski's in the house. Hey, Adamski, great to have you on board. Mark's in the house. Andrew Miller is in the house. Good to have you on board. And Fishy Attacks. All right, boys. Great to have you in as well.
Fishy Attacks, what a
Yeah.
name that is.
I think George is on his way in as well, so we'll get George in a second. But yeah, I wanted just your kind of thoughts on last night's, I would say, workman-like performance.
Yeah, you know what? To be honest with you, I felt that defensively, the midfield, I thought we were okay. We were controlling the ball. We were doing everything what we would have normally done, just not a sharper and a bit of a quicker pace like that. How we can exploit teams and cause them to make mistakes. We were just getting to that final third just a bit too slowly, allowing Alkmaar to get back. And one thing as well, I felt in the attacking third as well is that we were taking one touches too many, allowing the defender to get onto the player, and it just wasn't a quick first time ball in by Dignan what he normally does, or Matty Cash. It's like taking the extra touch, thinking about it too long, and when you do that, mistakes tend to creep in. And don't get me wrong, players are going to make a mistake; it's part of the game. But it's how you deal and learn from them mistakes. So it wasn't a pretty performance, but when was the last time Villa have said it wasn't a pretty performance and we've gone to win the game?
Yeah, reflecting back on it, I was obviously I did my instant match reaction. I tried to be as kind of balanced as I could, straight after a game, and obviously we're all relieved, excited, and stuff, and glad to be in that position in the group. But when I was watching the game, I was so frustrated, and you kind of picture yourself. I mean, even I guess the players would have been as well, because they want to make sure that their passes are accurate or they're doing what they should be doing. But yeah, it was just that decision making, that like I guess the last couple of games, that relaxed nature about how we were attacking seems to have kind of gone a little bit. Like, we're trying to force passes. Particularly players like Diaby, a little bit to a certain extent McGinn, and yeah, potentially Dina as well with his crossing, which everyone's trying to force things, and it just doesn't seem to flow at the moment. But yeah, in terms of positives, to come back from a goal down, scored in the second half as well. We're not renowned for coming back from behind, so that was good. To score directly off a corner, off a set piece, again, that was a positive. And obviously Ollie Watkins getting back on the score sheet as well. All positives, Martin.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of positives it takes from the game, and that's obviously how far we've come now as a football club under Unai Emery, and long may it continue. But you're right. I mean, some players just really weren't on it tonight, and I felt personally myself we were missing Douglas Luiz from the start. Someone who was just that little bit sharper and getting the balls in behind for Ollie Watkins or Diaby and John McGinn. We lacked that, and when he came on straight away, Ollie Watkins in on goal and he goes and gets a winner.
Exactly. George, great to have you in, mate. I will come to you in a second just for your quick view on last night's game. But a couple more comments coming in. Adamski says Bailey took way too many touches, too many times. I actually thought, for me, Bailey was probably. I thought Tielemans probably just shaded man of the match, but for me, I would say Bailey was not too far behind him, purely on the basis of a positive impact and wanting to be proactive. But yeah, I do take your point. There was one or two times where he was maybe a little bit too ball greedy. Rachel says, good evening. Great to have you in. And also the disallowed goal took the wind out of our sails. That's what I wanted to come to you in a sec on, George. Fishy Attacks, who Martin's new favourite name, says, I'd rather play below par and win than play well and get beat. Adamski says Concert almost did another Hutton. Deontay's in the house. Happy Friday. Yeah, great to have you in. Happy Friday to you. What Andrew said, let's make it 16 in a row on Sunday. Gaza said, you thought that, did you? What was that about? I don't know what that is.
Probably talking about Douglas Luiz, because you see, he put me into a bit of a group chat with some of his mates. In fairness, lovely people, and I was literally thinking it in my head, and then he goes and says it in the group chat. Not even 2 minutes later, and I'm like,
so you're getting your ideas off Gaza, are you? Maybe we have to replace you,
absolutely
Martin.
not.
Maybe we have to replace you.
Gaz is a wild goose shake for his beer anyway, so leave him at it.
Adamski thought Watkins was the best player over the 90 minutes. Some of the things he did were quite good, bringing players into the game, but I want to see him doing that more. Time when he dropped off and got involved in the play, he then scored. Andrew said Louise gives us that extra bit of quality, needs to start every game. Well, that's the difficulty, isn't it? That's what we want to bring some players through to help carry the load. But yeah, George, great to have you in, mate. Your thoughts on generally on yesterday's performance, and also on that, I guess we were all wanting an early start. A fast start. We pretty much had it with the goal that was chalked off. Do you think that kind of set up the game to go in the direction that it did? And had we scored that early goal, we might have been way more comfortable.
Evening, guys, and evening, everyone watching. Sorry, I'm late as usual, but you're all thoroughly used to that by now. Yeah, I went last night. Yeah, funny old game, really. It's sort of like I just caught what you were saying there about the first goal being disallowed. I'm still not sure why it was disallowed now. I mean, I'm hearing now they're saying it shouldn't have been, but it would have been the ideal start. And I think if we had scored that, it could have been a much more comfortable night for us. But it kind of took the early wind out of the sails, and we kind of struggled to get going through large parts of that game. We were okay, nice in possession, nice sort of movement and that, but I think the way Alkmaar set up, they were so sort of sitting back and defending, a bit like Forest did last week, and we did kind of struggle to break them down a bit. But it was nice to obviously we went behind in the game and we fought back, which we don't often do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I said, and interesting as well. I thought, I don't know your thoughts on this, and I don't know what it was like inside the ground, but we were, as Villa fans, we seemed like we were all buzzing for European nights to come back to Villa Park, and it was going to be, a fort. But obviously, it is a fortress. But I didn't feel like the atmosphere was that good last night, and I didn't feel like it was that good against Drinsky. I don't know if it was different in the ground.
Yeah, fully agree. It was flat as a pancake, to be honest. I didn't even think the Alkmaar fans were as good as what I would expect. There was the whole top tier was pretty much empty, but I guess they're not a huge club, are they? So you can't really go criticising them. But I don't know. I just wonder in the European games, it might be obviously if the season ticket holders don't buy their seats, then anyone can just buy them, and maybe the groups that you're normally with, it's different people and stuff. Like I was up in the Trinity actually in my mate's seats, and it was okay, but it was people are just chatting amongst themselves. It was almost as if the football was like almost secondary. I just wonder whether you would benefit in Europe having the away fans closer to the whole end, and then you could you always get, don't you, the away fans and that pocket in the bottom of the north having a bit of banter. But you can imagine that with the whole end, how much louder it would be. In fact, it's what they used to do, isn't it, in the FA Cup?
Yeah.
I remember Man United years ago, causing absolute havoc down there like they used to when they kept coming back from 2-0 down to beat us. And the atmosphere is electric then, because you'd have that to and fro between the home and the away fans.
Yeah, exactly. I just felt like, and Gaza said there, it was very quiet on the TV, and I just felt that, and I thought, the start was good, and that had we probably got that early goal, I think the atmosphere would have been really good. But I just thought, as that midway through the first half, it was just like silent. Like you said, even the AZ Alkmaar fans were just silent. I thought, well, this isn't really a European night, and with all due respect to the other teams in the competition, AZ Alkmaar are probably one of the bigger fish in the tournament as well. And, I'm thinking, second or third in the Dutch league or whatever, you're thinking, it's a fairly big team to be coming up against, and well, hopefully that Legia game, which seems like it's the crunch game in the group. Hopefully we can really turn up like that and make a massive atmosphere. So yeah, fingers crossed on that. But yeah, we got the job done. 9 points in the group, second place as it stands at the moment due to the head-to-head. But yeah, I'm hoping and I'm confident we can put that right when we play Legia in a couple of weeks' time. So onto the game on Sunday, Martin, against Fulham. First of all, just straight question: how confident are you of getting the result?
Fairly confident. I think last year I probably wasn't too confident coming up against Fulham because they were doing so well. But then post World Cup, they were just dropping down the table. So I think maybe that form kind of got out of their system because it affected a lot of teams at that time. But lately they haven't really been great. They don't look like the same footballing team because they don't have an outlet like a Mitrovic. Now they do have it in Raul Jimenez, but he's not as clinical as Mitrovic, I don't think. So I don't think he'll trouble us at all. But I'm fairly confident going into the game because, it's at home and it's been a fortress now. The amount of goals that we've gotten at Villa Park this season, I think we've got like 20 goals in the Premier League at home alone. And like that's incredible stuff. Like you're talking Man City level there, getting 3 goals a game at home, and hopefully it continues. And yeah, so I am actually very confident going into this game, and I'm hoping for a big performance.
Yeah, good. Yeah, me too. Me too. I think we've got to be really. George, I'll get into onto a couple of the Fulham players in a second, but I haven't really watched too much of Fulham throughout the season. Have you have they come up on your radar? I saw a little bit of them last week against Man United. I thought they were fairly unlucky, but yeah, have you kind of had a chance to watch much of them or see too much of how they play?
No, same as you, Rich, to be fair. I caught a bit of the game last week, but I was thinking earlier when I knew I was coming on for this, I thought, Fulham, who have they played this season? And then I was thinking, Fulham, who have they got in their team anymore? They're kind of like a bit of an irrelevance these days, it feels. Obviously, like you just said, Mark, losing Mitrovic, absolutely huge for them. And Jimenez, Jimenez never kind of a like for like replacement, but he's never been the same player since his bad head injury a few years back. So I mean, their attacking threat is reasonable. You've got Willian, who absolutely slaughtered us last season. D. Cordova Reed, he's scored. I think he scored at Villa Park the other year as well. Not a bad little player. Who's your lad that nearly joined Bayern Munich in the summer? He's their main man, isn't he?
Palhinha.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be the key.
He's
trying
very
to
good.
stop him. He's a quality player, and we're probably getting most sides, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good. I'm just gonna. I was just editing something, but I'll just get the their team from the last game up on up from FOTMob from the Man United game. So Leno in goal, good solid goalkeeper. Robinson at left back, who's pretty quick. Ream and Bassi as their centre back partnership. Bassi played well for the Rangers in that cup run, and then I think he went to Ajax last
Is
season.
that
We
Iwobi
were linked
playing as
heavily,
centre
weren't we, with
defensive
him?
midfielder?
Yeah, we were linked with him. Yeah, Castagna right back. Iwobi. Yep, signed from Everton. Martin. Looks like he's
It's
playing in
mad. No, I knew he
midfield.
signed for them, but I didn't think he
Yeah.
was signed as a defensive midfielder.
Yeah. Palhinha, like you say, George, very, very solid player. Willian, who seems to have had a real kind of renaissance. They use him a lot. Pereira, tricky, skillful, but again, like hopefully I'm not tempting fate, but doesn't really hurt teams too much. Wilson always been a busy player, gets about, and then Muniz, I'm not 100% sure on him.
Yeah.
Rodrigo Muniz, 22 years old, and then on the bench they had Vinicius, who came on. Raul Jimenez came on very late, so
Tom Kearney's still knocking around for them.
Tom Kearney, yeah, he came on in the last minute, so still knocking about, but seemed like a solid team. They're currently sitting in 15th at the moment, but not really many. I guess not really too many kind of weapons to hurt us with, Martin.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't.
Famous
I mean,
last
last year,
words, by the way.
yeah, famous last words, right? Commentators curse it, they would say also. Yeah, no, last year they had obviously Mitrovic, Solomon, Willian, Wilson as like an attacking forward, which in fairness, it's a very good attacking forward. It's probably a high mid-table team. But to lose a good bit of that, you're gonna struggle to score goals. And don't get me wrong, they've got like for like replacements, but I just think the quality to the players they have compared to what they did have is just not at the same level now, unless they have to get used to the system. Some players have to settle in, and that's completely fine. But it's just not the same Fulham team now, and it looks like second season syndrome is kicking in for them.
Could well be, Martin. Could well be. I mean, I remember the game last season. It was in our run of, well, part of our 10 game or whatever is 10 game winning run. But it was a 1-0 victory. Tyra Bing scored direct from a
Yeah, the
corner,
header,
and
yeah.
then and Fulham just didn't do anything after that. Didn't offer anything going forward. I mean, I'd definitely take that on Sunday, but yeah, it's all shaping up to be a game that, if we turn up and play as we should do at home, we will win, and we will win, quite convincingly. I would say, but you just never know. Marco Silva's a decent coach. Like Fulham, played well against Man United last week, probably deserved at least a draw. But I think you're right, Martin, in what you're saying. Goals seem like the issue for them.
Yeah, like it's and second season syndrome really just kicks into nearly every team that does well. And Fulham is not going to be any exception to that. Like you may have thought that maybe Fulham fans thought they would have kicked on. However, a lot of fans probably would have looked at them and said they're going to have second season syndrome. It was the same for Brentford. Everyone was saying Brentford are probably going to suffer it, but they haven't suffered from it, and they've continually done well. Brighton sort of had it, but they stayed up ultimately. Like, teams have gone through second season syndromes, and Fulham now this is the year for them to go through that. Now, do I think they'll go down or get relegated? Absolutely not. I think they're probably the stronger of that lower opposition teams, so I think they will be fine in the Premier League. But ultimately, where are they going to get the goals from? So I think they're going to dip into the January market for attacking players.
Yeah, potentially. So I don't know if their money is an issue with them, or funding, or what, or FFP. I'm not 100% sure, because I'm surprised that they hadn't tried to strengthen in that area
Yeah, because
before.
you got
Like,
what, nearly 50 million from Mitrovic from Saudi Arabia, wasn't it?
you got your decent money from him, and then they signed in, Jimenez for whatever 7, 9, 10
They
million
signed
or
him for
something. I think, right?
pennies, 5 million
Yeah,
or something. So like, there
yeah,
must be
5
something
mil.
there in the bank.
Yeah. Deontay says Fulham have won just one of their 19 league games at Villa, 2-1 in 2014, drawing 7 and losing 11, and have lost the past 4. Hope I didn't just jinx anything. Look, we can't be thinking of that. We've got to be taking all the positives out of it.
Yeah.
I'm getting loads of comments. I know you're starring a lot of them, Martin, so thanks for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, loads of comments about Duran. We will come to that in a second. But before we get onto the kind of Villa talk and how we might approach the game, just make sure, guys, you're hitting that like button. and hitting that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. Help us spread the word of the show, and help us on that road to 3K. Your support has been amazing over the last year or so, so let's keep that going. But yeah, George, in terms of, a few changes were made last night, Thursday night. Are you thinking kind of just back to the old traditional, or are you thinking that maybe a couple of players have played them into Emery's thoughts, or players have played themselves out of Emery's thoughts?
No, I expect it probably to be the same team. I mean, last night I'd say Tielemans done quite well, but the problem is, how does he get into this Premier League team? I just can't see him budging past. It's got Luiz as his direct competition, I think, in my opinion. And in the season he's having, I can't see him getting in unless you change the system. So I'd say, yeah, he's going to be on the bench. Diego Carlos done quite well last night, got his first goal, but
I
again
think
at
he got
home,
injured. He came
of
off
course he
injured.
did. Sorry, Rich. Yeah, of course he did. Do we
Yeah.
know anything about that?
No, someone asked it in the comments, but I've not heard anything. I
forgotten about that.
don't believe that Emery's press conference was today. So yeah, I don't think there's been any news about it. But
It'll probably be
yeah,
tomorrow, I'd say.
yeah, I wouldn't have thought. I don't think he'll be starting
No.
anyway, and I would probably say they'll rest him now till after the international break.
Yeah, no. Other than that, Rich, I can't really see any changes. I mean, was
Mm.
Moreno on the bench again last night? I'm not sure. I know he didn't come on.
Yeah. I don't think he'll get onto that for international break either.
No.
I think we're better off just easing him in. I think it's a perfect time to ease him in because of that international break.
Yeah, agreed. Martin, do you think, George raises a good point there about Tielemans, but interesting enough, in that AZ Alkmaar away game,
Yeah.
he kind of played in a more advanced position. Do you see a potential for Tielemans to play in that area that Zaniolo is maybe occupying at the moment? Do you see that as an option for him?
Yeah, actually, that's actually quite a good shout because I think Tielemans obviously ultimately has that Premier League experience where Zaniolo doesn't have. So that little bit of quality in the final third, Tielemans is obviously he's well renowned for how good he is with putting balls in behind in against defenses. So it's definitely worth a look at. So hopefully in the next few weeks, if Unai Emery sees it and if he's watching this pod and that somehow we've mentioned it, then I would say, yeah, why not? Try it. I mean, I think this is a good game for Fulham. Try Tielemans in a further advanced position.
Yeah, I think because Leon Bailey seems to be, we talk about a squad game now, and players who are really important to the team, but are more important as an impact off the bench. With whether it be right at the start of the second half or whether it be 30 minutes to go, and Leon Bailey seems to be that first option off the bench.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like I say I've got my cards on the table with Zaniolo. I'm not having him. I think we talked before the show. If you're coming in on a season-long loan, you really need to hit the ground running, because you're either playing for a move to the club that you're on loan to, or you're playing for
Yeah.
a move to get
Somewhere
in the
else.
shop window. And
Yeah.
he's had nearly half a season now, 14 appearances, done nothing. He's not doing himself any favors. So I'm he's going to have to go on a hell of a goal scoring run or performances, that are kind of man of the matches, to really kind of convince, Emery, I'm sure, to part ways with what would probably be 20 million or something. So yeah, he's just not doing enough for me. So yeah, in terms of that, I think Tielemans might be a good option, and then kind of bring Bailey on as the impact player. I'm not sure your thoughts on that, George.
Yeah, it could work. To be fair, I didn't obviously think of that myself, but yeah, there's definitely an option there. Bailey must be sort of. He probably doesn't want to get tired with this like impact sub brush, does he? Because
No,
he's done well this
he
season, even when
wants to
he's
start. Yeah,
of course. And I mean, in the home games, he likes an early goal in the home games when he does start. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was to get the nod. And like you say, Zaniolo is the obvious one to drop if you're going to drop someone. But I kind of just think, it's 12 wins in a row at home. Emery might just think, you know what, this has been tried and tested now. and we keep winning. So just keep going with it.
Yeah, loads of comments coming in, so let me just get into them. Gaza said Palhinha is a very good player, but goals are hard to come by for them. I think we'll pin them back and destroy them. Fighting talk there, Gaza. Need our wide players to get at Fulham's fullbacks. They are a yellow card waiting to happen. So is Palhinha in the middle. Let's have a look here. Andrew said give Moreno a start on Sunday, or at least 45. I agree with you, Martin. I think he's going to wait until after the break. Adamski said, Emery was asked what's the latest on Diego Carlos. He was telling us a small problem, but I don't have any more information. Hopefully a small injury. We'll have to check tomorrow to see his injury. Gaza said, possibly a bit too wide left for Yuri. Really random reviews is in the house. Great to have you on board, mate. And Soupy Mark as well. Carlos came back to celebrate after the whistle, so I doubt much is wrong. Gaz's agreement with me, not good enough in regards to Zaniolo. Really random said, hey, don't speak too soon. We wrote Bailey off, and Zaniolo isn't the worst for me, but he needs to get up to speed quickly. We're only 10 games in. Look, it's not that it's not a bad point, but we bought Bailey. The point is that it's a different situation.
I still think, Rich, if Zaniolo scores a goal, it can all change just like that.
I hope so. I really do. I really hope so. Adam said that Bailey plays better when he doesn't try so hard. Agreed. It's all with wingers. It's all about relaxed. It's all about rhythm. It's all about confidence when you beat your fullback. But I do feel like he's even though yesterday not everything went for him. I do feel like he's in a kind of rich vein of form where he's willing to try things and willing to take players on. Andrew said, not having anyone writing off Zaniolo already. He's trying. It will come good. We all wrote Bailey off when he signed, and look at him now. Different situation for me. If Bailey had signed on a season-long loan, then we would have written him off like immediately. We haven't signed. If Zaniolo's on a 4-year contract, then yeah, we can give him time. But he knows that he's under pressure. He knows he has to perform. That's the difference. If you look at the players that have come in on season-long loans before, they've hit the ground running. Even the likes of Ross Barkley, Coutinho came in and absolutely tore it up. It's on them to do it. It's not on us to wait for him to do it. It's on him to prove himself that he's good enough to play for Villa.
You wonder how much this betting scandal has affected what's going on with him.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Still hasn't been cleared, has he?
No, nothing else has come of it, have it? He gave his evidence and then kind of went from there. Anyway, let's go into my. Let's just see if we've got a couple more comments. Adamski's he's saying he's backed Watkins, Bailey, and now Zaniolo. So maybe if you've got Adamski's back in, you're in good in good company. Yeah, let's remember we had Anwar, Trez, Albert, etc. Different class now. Obviously, Gary. Obviously, mate. Obviously. So my starting team, utilizing FanHub. Guys, do get into FanHub. The link is in the description. I will post it in this video, but in loads of our other videos. And obviously, it's on Android and on Apple. Jump in there, and I'll send you. I've got the code for you to jump into the league, but you can test your predictions against us. And if you get 11 out of 11, you get special points that you can trade in for pints at various pubs across the country. So do check it out. Obviously, drink responsibly and make sure you're over 18 as well. But you can also trade it in for merchandise-based, FanHub-based merchandise, which is always nice and smart as well. So I've gone for Emi Martinez in goal, Cash Consa, Torres, Dina, usual back four. The only change that I'm going for at the moment is Leon Bailey. I think obviously the Tielemans one is a potential, but I think Bailey's probably done enough. And as I say, Zaniolo probably hasn't quite done enough to keep his place. That being said, Emery could just keep it exactly the same. Martin, your starting lineup, same team, same subs as Martin O'Neill used to say. George, any argument with that?
Yeah, quite like yours there, to be fair, Rich. I like the way you've sort of the positions you actually put them in. It's sort of That's
he's
kind
on
of
a
where they are on the pitch.
4-2-2, 1-1 or something.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it should be like that, but that is how they look on the pitch. To be fair, Diaby and Bailey close together. That's where the relationship is. That's where the magic seems to happen. McGinn, further inside rather than actually being a wide man. Yeah, I like your team, mate. Yours is not too bad either, Mark. To be fair, mate.
It's the exact same.
It's the same players. He hasn't organised it as well as
That's
me.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
he's got
right.
Bailey wrong side.
Sorry if I didn't have about triangles and rectangles and circles in your team, Rich.
Yeah. I am looking forward to though. I know. I think it was Andrew mentioned Moreno. I am looking forward to seeing, as well as Luca Dean's done, and he's done brilliantly. But I'm looking forward to that like Moreno raiding down that left-hand side and being found by Pau Torres, because like we look at that kind of way that's set up, he's just crying out for that player down that left-hand side, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I just think we're getting a bit over-reliant on Luca Dean now. It's just constant, give it to Dean, cross it, give it to Dean, cross it. And it's like last night I'm thinking, you're just doing the same move over and over and over again. Whereas where we had Moreno, he's a bit more of a mixed bag, isn't he? He just likes to sort of get forward, just sprints forward, just goes at defenders. Yeah. And it's a bit more of a, I don't know what the word is.
He likes to get to the byline, doesn't he? And tries to look for a cutback as well, which I love.
Yeah, a bit more mixed up.
Yeah. Few comments in. Stephen said, I give the Zaniolo a go camp, but I think he needs a game off. Maybe the same for Diaby. Looks tired. Just pin that thought in a second. Ahmed in the house. Great to have you on board, mate. It's an obligation to buy. That's why he's adamant to play him to gel Zaniolo. And Gary said Diaby and Watkins were poor against AZ. These two need to play well every game. One's our record signing, and the other is top earner now. Plus, we have nobody to replace them till January. And Adamski said Zaniolo goals incoming. Hope so, mate. I really do. Your thoughts, because I mentioned this last night as well, George. Is there a little bit of kind of Moussa Diaby maybe getting a little bit fatigued? I mean, it's only a couple of weeks ago he scored a cracking goal against Luton and was, man of the match. But last couple of games, I guess teams have maybe got used to how he plays and maybe isolated him a little bit. So does he need to kind of find a different way of getting space, or do you think it will just come?
No, do you know what? I'll just go back to what I just said. I just think we're using the left flank too much. And they're not using the RB side and going down the right. They're just continually going down to Luca Dean, and it's slow, laboured, cross, clearance, header out, and the RB's not getting involved because they're not mixing it up enough and coming down his side of the pitch.
Yeah. Martin, would you agree with that?
Absolutely, because the last few games, you're right, George, we've constantly been going to that left side to Luca Dean, and he just wants to whip it in straight away. Where if we mix it up
when
along
it works,
the right,
it works, mate. But
no, look, when it works, it works, and it's like obviously I'm an apprentice electrician, so if something's not broken, don't fix it. But you're right. But in the football sense, mix it up. Go down the left, go down the right, go in the middle, go through the lines. Exploit any areas of mistakes where they think will happen, exploit it. So when we constantly do the same move over and over and over again, teams just get a bit predictable, and it's like, right, we'll go here, wait here for it to happen, header it away, and sit back and be a low block team. Because in fairness, when was the last time a player Aston Villa stanch one in the top corner?
Well, yeah, I was saying that against Forest. When you're playing against teams with a low block, and maybe even last night to an extent, try some shots from outside the box. We've got
some against Alkmaar there the other night. I mean, Kamara got it. He gave it to who did he give it to? Louise. He didn't take a shot. He gave it to Konza, who I thought would have rifled it. He didn't take a shot. He went to Diaby, and I was like, "Go on, hit it." Oh, he wants to cross in, and I'm going, did no one want to take a shot?
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to score the perfect goal now, isn't it?
Yeah, that was what's so frustrating. It's like you can understand the coaching, and look, we're nowhere in any way criticizing Unai Emery, but I just feel like sometimes taking like a shot from outside the box, you never know what can happen. It can take a deflection. You might force the keeper to tip it over the bar and get a corner, push it out, and you get someone in on the rebound. There's loads of things that can happen, and we've got good strikers of the ball. It's not to say that we don't. So sometimes, like you say, George, it's just varying it. It's just and sometimes a good shot can get the crowd going, can put a bit of pressure on the other team. So yeah, for me, maybe just varying it a little bit would be the way to go. But this all changes when you score early goals, or like the last Sunday, the fact that we conceded after 5 minutes, that changes the whole complexion of the game. If we score after 5 minutes, then we're relaxed. It opens up, spaces open up because the other team have to come out a little bit, as the game wears on, and then you can start to play more expansive football. But yeah, the more we get frustrated, that's what I'd like to see. The more kind of taking, engineering areas where we can maybe take some different types of shots. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Fishy attacks said, reckon he'll go with the same team he picked against Luton and Forest, with maybe Bailey starting instead of Zaniolo. Yeah, I agree. Adamsi said JJ, yeah, we're definitely missing him at the moment. Gary said, don't think we lose to Fulham, but Silva is not an idiot and he will know how to subdue our forwards if we don't mix it up a bit. Absolutely. Let's have a little look at the stats then before we get the score predictions. And we've already got plenty of score predictions coming in as well. And then maybe cover one or two other questions that are coming in that have come in before. So head-to-heads, Villa have played Fulham 30 times in total. We have 12 wins, 9 of them at home, 3 away. And as Deontay said, we've only lost 1 game at Villa Park against Fulham, and we have 11 draws. In the last sort of 5 meetings, we've beat them last season 1-0 at Villa Park. They obviously beat us in the famous 3-0 game at Craven Cottage, which was Steven Gerrard's final game. And then previous to that, in lockdown, we won 3-1 at Villa Park, and then beat them 3-0 at the start of that season, and the lockdown season. And then previous to that was that home defeat, that solitary home defeat where they beat us 2-1.
The Kieran Richardson screamer, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Then we ended up buying him.
We did, yeah. Recent form, obviously Villa, they're 3 wins out of the last 5, drawing the other one and losing the other one of that. So 10 points from the last 5 games, which is pretty decent form. Fulham only 1 win in the last 5 against Sheffield United. Did pick up a draw away at Brighton, though, which wasn't a bad result at all. But then have lost 2-0 to Chelsea and Tottenham and 1-0 to Man United. So they do concede a few goals as well. So yeah, looking at us to potentially put some goals, get back on the score sheet in the Premier League. We are currently 5th in the league. Fulham are 15th. We've won 7 games. They've won 3. They've drawn 3 games, and Villa have drawn 1, and they've lost 5, and we've lost 3 at the moment. We're averaging 2.36 goals per game. Fulham only 0.82, so less than a goal a game. They're conceding 1.5 goals per game. Villa just under 1.5. They have more clean sheets than us. We only have 2. They have 3, but they don't create many chances. Less than 1 chance created per match. So yeah, not the most expansive of teams, and they're looking at Palhinha, top of the charts in tackles, but Villa dominating every other aspect of the game. So yeah, before I come to kind of the predictions, we did have 1 or 2 questions, and I will have a look at some of the comments going in. There's just some more scores really. John Duran has been kind of causing some headaches for Unai Emery. I don't think it's one that he's potentially comfortable with, and generally, I guess, that used to. But Fishy Attacks has said, what are everyone's thoughts on the John Duran situation, deleting all his Villa-related social media, etc.? And I talk about this because he's probably likely to be on the bench now. I'm not sure if that was before this game. Like, I think that might have, I don't know if he's done it again, but I know that was a talk a couple of weeks ago. But Martin, do you think Duran's kind of got himself back on the straight and narrow, or do you think he's kind of going to be one of these players that is going to constantly cause a little rifts in the camp?
I think he's probably causing a little bit of riffraff, because like, if you're with Aston Villa, why delete all the Villa stuff related? Like, so like if I know he's very young, and you have to learn your trade and everything like that, but at the same time, he probably thinks he should be playing more. And in fairness, at the start of the season, he was performing really well when Watkins wasn't, and then Watkins picked up a bit of form, and now he's back where he is. But at the same time, you kind of have to go with your experienced players, mostly in the Premier League, because it's so unforgiving. And I think he's probably trying to cause a bit of riffraff, and it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest with you, if he forces a move in January, or a loan move even, to get himself some game time, because he's probably going to get annoyed. Like, I was performing well, Gaffer, so why am I sitting here and not getting the game now anymore? And and it's right for him to naturally think that, because he was performing well. So, and then homesickness, I think, kicked in for him, so he went back to Colombia for a little bit. So there's different aspects to what's going on in his mind right now at this minute. But if a loan move is something that's good for him to get himself some game time, maybe back in America to be close a little bit to home, so be it, and then come back in the summer and rejuvenate yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Andrew asked me, Rich, was that you wearing the pug mask? I wish it was, mate. I wish it was.
You were in the Pug Ellis stand, were you?
I was in the Pug Ellis stand. Yeah. I was waiting for Villa to take the lead, but I was going barking mad when we weren't.
Yuri Doberman's in midfield.
George, I think you probably had more chances. I think it was more chance of you being in the mask, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about this. I saw a bit on Twitter earlier, and I was like, "What is all this about?" I saw your group chat with all the dog names. I'm thoroughly confused by it all.
Yeah. Stephen's asking, do we think the lack of clean sheets is going to be a problem?
Yes.
You boys got an issue? Yeah, Martin?
Yeah, big time, because, like, don't get me wrong, I know we're scoring goals, but at times we've looked very leaky at the back, maybe probably due to the high line. I don't know. But even at that, maybe we lose a lapse of concentration when we're, like, say 3-4-0 up at Villa Park. We lose a bit of lack of concentration, or something just lucky happens to the other team and they get a goal. And I think in the long run, it's really going to become a problem, because if teams start, look at what Forest did. They defended deep, low blocks, and just set themselves in a shape and a system that we had to go around them rather than go through the middle of them. And they know that we're going to be leaky at the back sometimes, and they expose us really well. So if teams are watching that, they're going to go, right, they're very good at attacking, but if we stay compact and stay deep as a unit, they're going to concede goals, because that's exactly what's happening to us. We're conceding goals. And don't get me wrong, I know we're winning and it's great, but we're still conceding goals. I wouldn't mind just seeing a few clean sheets here and there, just to show the dominance that we've been doing.
Yeah. It would be good to get a couple of clean sheets. I do agree, and settle that defense a little bit more. Gary said, how would we cope if we moved to a foreign country at 19 and didn't speak the lingo? Juan Pablo struggled for a year or so.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Only for Emmy's Yashin trophy credibility. Yeah, exactly. Don't want to make any more mistakes. Gaza said, when you don't lose goals, you don't lose games. We need to sort it ASAP. Exactly. Couldn't have.
It's more of a problem when it's the first goal, isn't it?
Yes.
We can see the
it
first
puts you
goal.
under
That's when we
pressure
put
straight
ourselves in
away.
big trouble.
We go into a bit of panic stations then, don't we?
Yeah.
And we don't look as confident once we've gone behind. It's all everything's. It's not suited, is it? The system's not suited to going behind at all.
Yeah, exactly. And then just one last question before we get the predictions in. I think it's a bit of a cheeky one. Andrew said, "Why did Ferguson choose Ireland over England?" Is that related? That's related to the Talk Sport question, isn't it? It's probably the most stupid question
I'm
I've
gonna
ever heard in
get
my
something
life.
straight here, right? And excuse me, French, but fuck off. He's staying with Ireland, right? Because he's from Bettystown. It's literally about a 20 to 25-minute journey from where I'm living. He's reared in Ireland. You hear his accent, he's Irish. He's probably waited around the shops with his mates and all, like every single Irish teenager has done. He's probably loved the chicken fillet roll when he was younger. Everything about him is Irish. So, with all due respect to say this, fuck off cherry picking with us. You've already got Jack Grealish and Declan Rice.
We'll have him if we want him, Rich.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think to be fair, it was probably a bit of a tongue-in-cheek question. For if I'm being generous to the interviewer,
his dad said he'd kill him if he seen him in an English.
Yeah.
He's not playing for Ireland or England.
His answer was because I'm Irish. So yeah, I think he's pretty safe to say he's Ireland through and through. yeah, so get your thoughts on the score predictions in the comments. I've got a few already. So Fishy Attacks is saying we win 3-1 on Sunday. Andrew's saying 2-0. Adamski's saying 7-1. Still no clean sheet though, Adamski. Martin, what are you saying for score and scorers?
3-1. Because, like I said, we're just a bit leaky at the back, so I'm going to go with a Watkins double and Douglas Luiz.
Watkins double, Douglas Luiz. Just done that. Gaza said, I can't believe Grealish and Rice chose England over Ireland, to be fair. Yeah, exactly. Martin,
Well, I can understand Grealish, but Declan Rice was a bit of a snake.
It's all about the money, boys. That's what it's about.
Yeah. Adamski said, Martin, say third.
Third. We don't pronounce the H, so 1, 2, 3, 30, 33, 33 in the third if you want.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on. Go on, boys.
Gary said it would be good to get a couple of from behind victories for a change. We did it yesterday, so yeah, and we did against Palace. Deontay said thinking Aston Villa 2, Fulham 1 at the moment. Adamski said he was being realistic. So he's really thinking the 7-1. Really random said I've said 3-1 for the last 4 games, so why not 3-1 Villa? Mark saying 2-0 Dougie and Bailey. And then we had Gaza saying 4-0 Villa, Watkins 2, Louise and Diaby. And Gary says Villagers 2, Cottagers 1. George, what are you saying for the score?
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of them classic old Villa performances where we make it really hard for ourselves. I think we'll score a couple in the first half, be nice and comfy. I reckon Watkins and Louise, and it'll all be nice and easy. And then we'll do the old it'll all go wrong at the back, and we'll make a stupid mistake, concede one, and then everyone's going to be nervous for about 20 minutes. But Emery will keep everyone calm, and we'll hold on, and we'll win 3 points, and everyone will be relieved at the end.
Nice. Reece Bryant is going for a 7-2.
I wonder where we heard that before. Where did we hear that before?
Yeah. We'll never ever forget it. I'm gonna go
classic 2-1, Rich, is it? Your classic 2-1?
No, I'm gonna 4-1.
Oh.
I'm saying Diaby's gonna score.
Yeah.
Watkins will score 2. And John McGinn will score.
McGinn, good show.
Yeah. Boys, I think that does us for the preview. Steve Nicol won't forget the 7-2. No, he definitely won't. Yeah, boys, I think that does us for the preview. So yeah, we can enjoy Saturday football. Ready for our game on Sunday. Hopefully taking us into the international break on a high. But we've still got plenty of content coming up for you guys. So make sure you do like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Help us on the road to 3K. We've got Talking Tactics with Gareth to come after that game. We'll have match reactions. We've also got a special show coming up, a little collaboration. I'll tease that. We'll maybe release more information over the coming weeks. And I want to get potentially Tom Colomossi on again because he's doing a few more reports on Villa. So I'd like to get him on the show again just to talk over transfer rumours. So do keep your eyes peeled for the channel. But yes, thank you, boys, for jumping on the show as well. Hopefully we get the 3 points. Hopefully we make it 13 Premier League wins in a row. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.
Up and running, and Villa Park is loud.